I'm not on TikTok. I'm the elite of this society.
Let's just assume whatever content you're doing.
If you have interesting content, it will go viral.
Content is limitless.
People who have 100 videos on TikTok, now wajaienda viral.
Asanteni sana wadau, karibuni sana. This is the Only Pods podcast, our debut episode. It's taken us about 67 days, 33 hours, and a couple of more minutes, man, to put this thing together. It's been hectic, lots of planning and unplanning. Lesson by the land, don't overplan. Enda vile uko. Unasikia vile ambao tokea vile uko? Just go vile uko.
Me lesson learned ni you need to plan more. Plan better. That's my takeaway.
Too much medium. It might not plan with you.
Yeah. So I think, but I think the outcome will be seen from this episode. I hope you guys will enjoy this episode. My name is Amos Roby. I have a gentleman and two beautiful ladies joining me. They'll introduce themselves. First, let me start with the gentleman. He has a very fascinating story of how he almost exchanged blows with a matatu driver to Nyeri. Mwangi, what happened?
Hello guys, my name is Dennis, so B2. So, he's exaggerating. Almost is exaggerating. So what happened is I was on a very early morning travel to Nyeri.
It's just a typical composition.
Yes. Asubuhi mchana nikaenda
I
nikaoga.
ran as fast as my legs could carry
Yes.
me.
The mosquito legs.
to the terminus. I boarded a 14-seater matatu. And I like sitting on the front. So this day I missed the passenger seats that is on the window. So I sat between the driver and the other passenger. If you're tall enough, you know that seat is very...
Everyone hates that seat. And I don't know.
Tall. No, for the average person, yes, I am.
Okay.
Unless
Lynette,
The experience for ladies, if I may interrupt, the experience for ladies on that seat is very different.
Yeah.
I remember a journey from Eldoret to Nairobi where the driver kept brushing on my very voluptuous eyes.
You guys should see Miriam by the way. You may not get it, but I feel her.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why some drivers...
Some drivers prefer ladies in between there.
I was assaulted. I felt assaulted on that ride. It was very uncomfortable.
Anyway, did you were...
So, on this early morning, I usually time I don't like traveling. So, I like to sleep during the way. So, as soon as we are past Githurai, that's usually my cue. We are about no turning.
The journey has started.
The journey has started past Githurai.
Beyond here, you forgot...
Yes.
You forgot a charger. Nivo.
There's no turning back. So, that seat doesn't have a very good rest or support structure.
Headrest, yes.
Yes. I relied on my neck to keep my posture, and I closed my eyes.
You winked for a long time.
I winked a very long time, and I started leaning towards the driver. Very slowly. The first time he gestured at me, my head was on his shoulder. So I had leaned all the way without noticing to lean on his shoulder.
I know.
So he shrugged his shoulders and I woke up.
The rest can be really rude,
No, he was very polite, actually.
But it also sounds as a very D2 thing to do. Sounds a lot like him.
It was me who invaded his space. So he shrugged. I woke up very confused. I was like, no, I can't sleep.
And you were embarrassed.
This is a little. I was later further embarrassed a great deal.
There was more to come.
So I winked again. And this time I was on his bicep. Like I had leaned all the way. So what he did, he shrugged. I woke up. He parked the car I remember it was Pale Del Monte.
He pulled over.
Oh, he pulled over. At Del Monte, I'm like,
What about the other passenger?
hey, we're still on the journey. And I'm like, who
Everyone's
wants to
minding
pick
their
up his
business
race now?
except D2, who's trying to mind the Deres business.
So we are at Del Monte and I'm thinking, hey, someone wants a snack.
Kuba, it's about to go down.
He alights, opens the door, calls me out. He didn't talk by the way.
Wow.
He called me out. He called someone now from the back segment of the car and exchanged us. Told me,
Go and sleep.
hapo, kuja hapa mbele. No words were exchanged,
The walk of shame.
Wow.
but I was so embarrassed.
But that was criminal.
But then, you know, we are lucky.
Endangering lives of 14 others.
It was better than being in a police
D2
station.
would have been a statistic right now. I think we wouldn't have had D2.
And probably guys would have blamed the driver.
Always the blame is on the driver. And I think it speaks a lot about some of the accidents where we blame the driver or the roads. Yet some of us are part of, you know, the accidents.
You know.
Because these things,
Anyways, my name is Lynette. You can call me Aweno. So, by the virtue of my name, you can know where I'm from.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm going to say where. So, kwetu ni Moroni constituency. It's next to Nyando constituency. Huko kwenye unasikianga serikali saidia. And by the way, when there were floods last time and we called on serikali, tulisaidika. So it's good to call.
You have them on speed dial.
It's good to call on serikali
There's no
saidia.
time you're going to call on serikali to help you and they will come. This is the only time they will come and help you. So when you find the opportunity, itumie vizuri, like use it. By the way, venye Amos amesema, I'm so grateful I'm alive. I'm not in Moroni right now because the state of things right now ni serikali saidia. It's bad. Like uko kukinyesha unaanza tu kuomba Mungu because there are a lot of people who get displaced by water, and the funny thing is that mvua ikiisha tu hivi wanarudi rebuild. But you also understand why, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't.
Not really. I really don't get it why.
Privilege.
How many times do you need kusombwa na maji until you figure out that enyewe I need to move to higher ground?
Where do you go to?
Like when the season, ama hata mi neza sema, hata kama you're not going to move forever, like ukwe na your lowland house na your highland house. Like ukwe na two options.
You don't even have land.
You don't have the land to get that.
You're
But
squatting.
si kuna affordable housing. Affordable housing aid. Si imefika Kisumu at least. At least.
The last time I was
People
in
were,
Kisumu, in Muhoroni, I don't know, maybe my MP can inform me.
Yeah.
Miss, I'm not aware of any affordable housing in my constituency.
Okay.
But all in all, we're grateful for
coming.
Lynette. All in all, we're grateful for
So
Lynette.
you see, I would say, for those who have not experienced it, wataongea kama Miriam hivi,
Miriam,
you've not really seen
Gosh.
let Miriam tell us about herself.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Whether she has two houses. Miriam, do you have two houses? Hey, you should tell us that you have two houses. One in higher ground, one in lower ground.
I happened to attend one of these data commissioner workshops, so I know I should not be sharing my private data on public platforms. So I will neither confirm nor deny that I have two houses.
Excellent point. We have a good discussion coming forward. We're going to talk about what most of us do at night or spend a lot of time maybe while going home. TikTok. I think, except for Miriam. Miriam, are you on TikTok?
I mean, I'm not on TikTok.
Which
I'm
you
the elite of this society,
Yeah.
and I'm proudly not participating in the
What did you
TikTok
say?
She said, hey.
of our society.
my love.
But it's not an elitist point of view. I'm sorry.
Why
Hiyo ilikuwa
aren't you on
tu,
TikTok?
ilikuwa jokes.
Why aren't you on TikTok?
First, I joined TikTok when it was like when it just started during the pandemic in 2020. So I'm one of those people who got addicted to TikTok. And at the end of 2020, I sat with myself and nikajambia, okay, we need to spend our time doing other things.
Okay.
I enjoyed the platform for the time that I was there, but for my own mental health, I chose to
abstain.
Yeah, to remove
So you
myself.
just decided to delete your account and everything.
Yeah, and I actually did that with more than
So
just
when you
TikTok.
were-
It was
Yeah,
it was a
across.
spree. I went through the change, guys.
When you're
In my life, I have changed.
content, you actually have your content on the platform before you decided to delete everything.
Yeah, I had like 1 or 2 videos. And also the other thing that keeps me dallying with TikTok is my niece. She enjoys the platform, and we used to make a lot of videos with her. She enjoys that.
None of us
So-
can convince you to get
So
back
right-
to TikTok. What will it take? What will it take? What if we told you we can make money from TikTok?
It's not an incentive for me. Like weighing it against my mental health
And
and all this other. I know part of our discussion
But the
is
goal,
the
but the goal is to get out
other.
of the block.
Because
And if it means getting on TikTok to get out of the block,
yeah.
aren't you willing to sacrifice that for, we can always deal with mental health. If you have that money, you can go for therapy.
Oh gosh,
I feel like because
that's not a good argument.
you guys know a lot of things about TikTok. So I feel like this conversation is going to enlighten her, and maybe by the end of this conversation,
Maybe.
you'll now make a
Maybe.
choice on whether you want to.
But that's after we've had off-air conversations about this. I don't know if this conversation will be any different.
Let me ask one question. You know, wale watu wanaambianga sijakunywa pombe, nimekuwa nikisave do. You've saved a lot of time by not being on TikTok. What have you been able to do with all that time?
I've been able to advance my career.
Okay.
And that is how it's not that I don't know a lot about TikTok. Maybe in terms of experience, because there's a difference when you're actually on a platform and using it. It's very different from what you read, what Lynette tells you in the morning. Have you heard of this TikTok? It's a bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've saved time. I've done courses. I've worked on my mental health. I've done other things with my life.
Are you saying
Okay.
people who are on TikTok are not taking care of their mental health?
I don't think
That's-
they are.
Okay.
Or the other
Maybe that's
thing,
a
I
because
am on TikTok, man, and I value my mental health.
It is
I
eating
don't.
you. Yeah. That's a question. It's probably not okay.
Or also
Okay.
the other thing I've always hated these social media platforms for is how they shape your worldview. That's the other way I've been saving time by reading books.
I think it all boils down to like you personally. You can always control these things.
I think that's
You can control it.
it's very subjective, I'd say. So like the two ask, is your mental health okay? It
Yeah.
may be okay,
Yeah.
but is it really okay?
Looking for the latest news, entertainment, and business updates? Look no further. pulselive.co.ke has got you covered. From breaking news to celebrity and entertainment news, we have you sorted. Visit pulselive.co.ke for more stories and follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram for more updates.
Right now, we just delve into something maybe that had the two worried kidogo. So a while ago, Kithure Kindiki said there was going to he proposed a ban on TikTok.
Yeah.
The ban was because he argued it was a propaganda avenue. It was an avenue where, a lot of, I think even in parliament, these conversations came up. That TikTok was becoming an avenue where morals were just being, thrown outside the window and everything else taking over. And we that was something we sort of read beyond what the MPs were just saying, beyond what Kindiki was just saying. Could it be that this is a political move to ban TikTok like the US is planning to? Like, to me, I think from what I've seen, Kenya and the US ties, this is a move like to meshikana, so we want to fight one common enemy. All right, and who's the enemy?
They are unseen. They
Poverty
move
is
in
the
the
enemy.
dark.
All of us
Poverty
here
is
that
the enemy.
enemy.
I
Yeah.
think if you look at that issue, the first thing that inakam up ni like the morality, like TikTok is eroding them.
Is it though?
Like that is what they're saying, right? So when we look at it, when you look at the content on TikTok, of course it's personalized for everybody, but the content that you get on TikTok, would you say that the platform is actually eroding the morals that we already have in place? You personally?
Not really. Like you said, it's personalized. The major argument that Kindiki brought forth was that this is a propaganda avenue, that a lot of misinformation is being shared in the platform. It's also been argued even in the US Congress that it's an avenue where privacy has been infringed, and the platform is mining data, using it against, or maybe they don't know how it will be used against the users and the country at large. But I think it, like you said, it's the moral argument is every platform has this immoral stuff. On Facebook, D2 has been tagged not once, not twice, several times.
Some people, big people that we know.
And even some
Their accounts have
very
been
influential
hacked,
people.
and, you know.
So it's not a moral issue. On IG, we have even, okay, let me not get into the other accounts we have on IG where people do stuff that we can't mention on this platform. But I think it's an issue of geopolitics just taking center stage. One country looking to overpower the other, but that's how I view it. And
Me, I feel like the morality issue, it could be true, but I'm not saying it's totally true, because some of the content that I've viewed on TikTok, zingine sijui niitaje, like even the type of
Not
language,
safe for work.
it's not like even if you're a parent and you watch this and at the back of your mind you have young kids, and squeezy unajua watoto wanakuwa na simu at a very early age, and at the back of my mind you're like, my kids are also going to see this, my lord, you'll question it, because even the type of language they use when they're presenting their views on things, it's blasphemous.
But I would say it's up to first any platform. Like for example, when the internet first came alive, from the stories I've heard, I wasn't. I didn't access
someone was
the
wondering
internet.
how old is Miriam.
From stories I've heard, probably online on the same internet, people said one of the first things that blew up on the internet was, I don't know if we can say it, pornographic material.
Explicit. Let's explicit.
Adult content.
Adult content.
Adult content. So for any platform, like anywhere human beings are, adult content will follow. Then the point for a parent, by the time you're giving your child a device, a mobile device that is activated on the internet, isn't it upon you to put parental controls
But
on that
sometimes you can't
device?
control that. Sometimes they will not even see it on the phone that you've given them. They will see it on other people's phones, their friends.
I think that's
Or
beyond the
just
control now
anywhere.
of.
It's beyond control. You can't control that as a parent.
But you can also manage it if your kid, first if you're a parent and you're aware that your kid has accessed maybe content that is, hiyo ndio maana inaandikangwa parental advisory. It is not that children will never see these things. It is for the parent to put it in context. Like now that you've watched that video, understand ABCD about it. Because we're living in the world. We can't remove ourselves, and we can't also punish kids by removing the internet
So
from
are
their...
you saying that now we should tukubali to that these the morality issue is with us and there's nothing we can do about it? Because at the rate at which TikTok inazidi kwenda viral, and content posted on TikTok tend to goes viral very fast. Nendanga viral haraka sana. You can't compare it with other platforms, other social media platforms. So are you saying that now it's here, let's just live with it? There's nothing we're going to
Okay,
do about
I'm not
That's
an
what they
expert,
did,
but
yeah.
I'd recommend this. Allow me to just plug one of the resources I came across as I was researching for the episode. There's an organization in Kenya called Eve Minet.
Okay.
I hope I've said it right, and if the people, they can reach out to us, we will say it better. If Minet is an organization that actually also works specifically with TikTok. They've been holding workshops, and especially for parents to know how to handle these digital media with their kids. So, as not an expert, I was just giving my view, but that would be a better resource to sort the morality issue.
But besides the morality issue,
Besides
the morality issue, I think it's good to hear also from Mwangi, who's a resident political analyst.
Yes.
What is the place of TikTok in the geopolitical world? The Chinese, US war. is it something we can say upper TikTok is just it's a target, it's a witch hunt. Our politicians love to say this is a political witch hunt.
First of all, I would like to separate the issues of the TikTok ban in the US
TikTok ban in
and
Kenya.
the petition to ban TikTok in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
So in the US, that push seems very politically motivated by the politicians over there. In Kenya, that conversation has been started by a private citizen. It's called Mr. Ndolo. So he's the one who petitioned Parliament to discuss on the consideration of whether Kenya can ban TikTok. So it's not from the political end. So politicians are just using it, like Kithure Kindiki. He's using it to give the government position on it. So it's not like the government is pro banning of TikTok, unlike how in the US it has been. So now going to the US, I feel like TikTok is just another playground for the US-China relationship to play out. In that those guys are always in a competition of supremacy. And so the US has concerns that because TikTok is partly owned by some Chinese investors, that they may have access to data that could be used by China to put the US in a disadvantaged position, control censorship about US issues, and that's why we are seeing it play out like that. So in my opinion, it comes down to geopolitics, business, and the stakes involved. So that politicians are always politically motivated.
The interest is always political.
Yeah, the interest is always political. Just like how we ended up with Huawei being banned in the US. They have legitimate concerns about data protection. They have legitimate concerns about how that platform, giving its enormity and the impact it has on culture right now, they have legit concerns. But also, there are places I feel like they're overstretching it.
The US.
Yes. Because if it's about data protection, Facebook mines data, X mines data, Instagram,
all platforms.
all even social media on the internet, your data is mined.
For it to fix your algorithm, it has to definitely dig up your data.
So I think where the US politicians are having an issue with it is just this Chinese control of the app.
The Chinese aspect.
Yes, and it's like 20% of ByteDance. So ByteDance is the company that owns TikTok. I think, according to research, a larger percentage is owned by American organizations. About even like individual Americans, about 7,000 individual Americans have shares in TikTok. So the problem I feel like the US has is that kidogo's Chinese ownership.
And also, I think before we even went on here, we were talking about the competition. Also, there's also the fear that we've been the tech giants of the world. So suddenly someone is coming and wants to take over. Miriam was mentioning how Silicon Valley and the likes of Kina Elon are taking over the world, and now there's something else coming different, and it's a concern. Miriam, do you feel like that's also another concern the let me say the Americans.
Yeah, the West.
The West.
West versus East.
Yeah, the West is concerned about that. Okay, so we eat trophy ni kama inaenda. It has been all
World
along.
superpower.
Hey.
Those titles.
Silicon Valley will soon not be in Silicon Valley in California. It could be maybe in Wuhan.
Well, we have to accept that America is indeed the global superpower. And of course, China over time, in a lot of ways, is overtaking America. I wouldn't like to wade into those political waters, but as an observer, I am not anti-American or pro-Chinese. I am an independent observer.
Like,
as an observer, it is
very... I
think it is very politically motivated, because one of the conversations that is going on right now, TikTok has been given that ultimatum to sell off whatever portion of it is owned by Chinese investors, to divest, or they'll be forced to leave. There are 170 million users in America, and interestingly, that the time that they've been given lapses on the just right before the inauguration of the next president. There are other candidates running. There are other including women also. There's a woman candidate. One of the interesting things about also the election is that it has emerged that one of the TikTok investors has backed Trump's bid, or rather has backed the Republican Party. So some of the analysts who are talking about it are saying when Trump gets into power, of course, because there's an interest there, TikTok will be safe. If it is the other guy, then TikTok is
Not safe.
maybe out of business. But also it's not very realistic, because with VPNs and all sorts of things, we can't say that American users will leave TikTok
entirely,
even if TikTok will be kicked out of their country. I don't think it's very realistic that we won't have Americans on TikTok.
Your TikTok For You page should not be boring. From trending challenges to behind the scenes exclusives, we've got it all. Get ready to laugh, dance, and discover the hottest trends with us. Follow Pulse Live Kenya on TikTok today and join the fun.
What will be the other implication of such a ban? For example, in Kenya, already we are seeing, we've had an internet, as we are recording this, we've had an internet, cut for the last, I think, 3 days. So, and we've seen how massive this can be. People are not working. And this is the same implication that will happen on TikTok, or even, let's say, any other social media platform should it be banned. Facebook, IG, we have lives built on this platform. What now would be the direct implication of a ban, for example, on TikTok for you to do?
In Kenya
In-
or maybe other countries?
Let's start with Kenya.
Okay.
If that things come to reality, which I think
We are yet to see.
I think that,
it will be mlima. Itakuwa
yeah,
mlima,
it will be a very uphill task for Kenya to ban TikTok, because even on the debates that I've listened to on the floor of the House, have not been skewed towards a ban, but rather regulation. The issues that are of contention, the privacy, content moderation, is what is making the base of these discussions, other than the ban. So the implications would be, of course, people who earn a living off of TikTok would be out of work. Also, the implication,
I think also tax, because I think there's an element of, because the government right now is trying to fetch a lot of tax from all corners, and there's a huge, if you look at it, there's a huge, I'm sure TikTok pays tax to operate in Kenya. And now
Digital economy.
digital
There's a whole
economy,
ministry about
yeah.
it.
So there's
That money will be lost and will be taxed more.
and in
there will be a
We
deficit.
will be
yeah,
taxed more.
there'll be a deficit which may
I
be now
think
taken
Lynette,
to
you should
bread.
accept we will be taxed more, whether TikTok is banned or not. Accept.
TikTok is banned, it will be more because tutakuwa na deficit.
There's always an
Deficit,
implication
we have to
on
meet it.
what, like, for example, the internet cut we've seen right now. It's not a cut, it's an outage. There's an implication even if we are not at work, there's a smoky guy who's not at work. The production of smoky has gone down. It means the number of people also transporting smoky have reduced. And that's what people don't realize.
The chain effect.
The chain effect. It could be small.
What's the chain effect on TikTok?
It's huge. Data. Look at Safaricom. Okay, let me not miss. Look at data. But these companies are fetching a lot on, you know, on through this platform.
By selling data to
By
Kenyans
selling data
to
to Kenyans
access
to
this
access this platform. We have Kenya Power, right? People are constantly on their phones. A lot of gadgets need to be powered. There's a whole chain of people being affected.
The most important thing, entertainment.
And entertainment, yeah.
But also, there's a survey that was done by Odipo Dev and Africa Uncensored, a very recent survey, where they polled a lot of Gen Z. And of course, we understand that TikTok is majorly for Gen Z. And an interesting thing is, most Gen Zs today, one of their top careers, other than being boss lady, boss babe, boss, what do they say nowadays? Boss selves. The second one is to become a TikToker. Like specifically, I want to be a TikToker because they've seen it pay off. Maybe they're looking for that fame, but also it's a real actual career option for a whole generation of Kenyans.
If YouTube has worked, then TikTok is definitely an avenue that can work. But that takes us to our next, I think, conversation, which is now monetization. Meta and other platforms, even these adult platforms, have monetized. And TikTok is sort of a bit slow. There's the monetary aspect, but it's not as big as, for example, what we see on YouTube or on Facebook. We have people getting, some good cash. YouTube is the biggest, I think, if not among the biggest, but I think it's the biggest earner from these social spaces. For me, I think TikTok is excellent, but I think for Africans, there's always an element of Africa being left behind or being treated last in terms of monetization. So we'll just be creators. You guys create, get entertained. But when it comes to money, we are the last ones.
It's unfortunate that Africa usually comes last when some of these opportunities are availed, but it comes from the model of working for these apps. They are mostly advertisement led. So it depends on the amount of advertisers spending on the platform. Is it enough to keep the platform going and also to monetize for creators? So those are things they have to think about. So some of the options available in the US and might not be available in Kenya are like in-stream ads for TikTok. You would get an ad
when you're on live.
Yes, or not even live. You're watching your content on TikTok, content. And just as in YouTube, an ad pop. You get an ad that pops on TikTok, and then the creator is credited. That's not available in Kenya so far. So it goes to show about the robustness of the advertising industry in Kenya. It has to reach to a certain point where advertisers are also putting ads on TikTok for those ads to be served to creators. So they must do some research and see what is the ad spend of most advertisement companies in Africa.
But I think, yes, that's very reasonable, but I feel like they're not pushing hard enough, these platforms. Maybe also because they're getting the most benefits from the West, like we said. So there's always that element of, okay, maybe Africa, kidogo, what we are getting versus what we are putting in is not, we're not breaking even.
Even when we watch the TikTok lives, most people who send in their gifts, they are not normally from Kenya or Africa. Wanakonga wanatoka majuu, and even the creators wanasemanga fans wangu wa Dubai, fans wangu wa US, fans wangu wa wapi. Those are the people who give them the most money on their lives. So even when they are doing their content, huwa wanawafikiria.
Wanajua Wakenya won't invest that
Kenyans
much.
will gift me, yes, but hawatanipatia a very ama ile amount tunataka. But mtu kutoka Dubai, someone who doesn't even know you, has never met you, will just come and gift you a lion.
Yeah, but beyond that, I think TikTok is one of the best platforms for even businesses. The tools it has, for creators, the algorithm, which we are going to talk about also in a few, how it works. If you are a serious business person, a business-minded person, and someone has said, let's not build don't build your career on someone else's platform. Because one day, the next president will wake up and say, I don't like this thing. We're banning it. We only say, I want to be a TikToker. And it's gone.
Now who are you?
Who are you now? So the argument is, so the platform has provided, you can see there are green screens, there are, if you're a creator and you've tried creating content on TikTok, you know it's the best platform to create content from. You can do voiceovers. There's a lot you can play around with. And for businesses that have played around with it, watu wa Kamukunji, Gikomba, the people who even sell entirely on TikTok. There are ladies I know who sell their clothes entirely on TikTok, and they're doing really well. So sometimes I think we have blessings in this. So you may not have that cash from the platform itself, but use it to, and it's even more secure when you're creating now cash. Is this how do you say this cash is generated? Because it's not. Is it organic? No. But whichever way, you are safer when even the platform is banned. You have your customer base. The other avenues now, you can now use these customers you've gotten to do
they can
more.
Find you on Instagram,
on
Facebook.
There's one thing we've left out on a new way to monetize on TikTok, other than what we know, gifts. So TikTok has rolled out an option where you can use sound, like if you're a musician and you want TikTokers to use your sound to share your music. So as a TikToker, you can go to those monetizable sounds and use that sound and get more views. The more views you get, the more money you stand to make.
Are there specific songs? Because
yes.
for free, and a lot of the songs that I see, you just go and use them.
Yeah, these are specific songs where I think money has been pushed to promote those songs. But the catch is you have to have 10,000 followers.
And then,
but also growth on TikTok is fast.
It's fast,
which is now I think what we need to talk about. You get on TikTok today, tomorrow you'll have if you're let's say you have your first video.
Depends with the content.
Let's just assume whatever content you're doing.
If you have interesting content, it will go viral.
Content is limitless.
There are people who have 100 videos on TikTok. Now wajaienda viral.
It says something about their content. I think it says something about their content. It's not engaging enough. It's not interesting enough.
Try to think about it. If you have that same content, they'll have not less than 100 followers. They'll have a significant number of followers compared to other platforms. I tried to dig a bit about how the algorithm works, and I think the person who designed this is a genius. Because as long as your content is interesting, it will be shared, and it doesn't matter. Because now what the other platforms were trying to leverage on is how many followers do you have. So if you have more followers, we'll share your content, you'll get more followers. TikTok is like, let's deal case by case. Is this video good? Yes, we will promote it.
Is it good for you? Is it just good?
Good for the audience.
The audience,
Yes.
And also, unlike I think it happens on YouTube maybe, where you'll have your preferred content. For TikTok I think it's this was also a genius. You'll occasionally get content you've never gotten. You'll get content which is this is fresh kabisa, new, which is highly unlikely. Come on, you're a person to watch pastors on YouTube every day. What you'll get is a new pastor.
Yes.
But on TikTok, if you're a person to watch pastors, the next thing you'll get is some atheist trying to convince you church is not good. And I think this is also something that has beaten the Silicon Valley's imewarab the hard way. How did you design something like this that we can? Why didn't we think of something like this?
The basis of those earlier social media apps was on connection. So on Facebook we had to be friends. You have to have friends. So if you have like 5,000 friends and you post a photo, it will show to some of those 5,000 like 10. If that photo is liked by 10 of your friends, it's shown to a greater number and snowballs like that. But on TikTok, you don't have to have any connection. You can post it and it will show to anyone who has that interest. So it's very easy to go viral.
But I feel like
TikTok.
me, I've had a completely different experience on TikTok.
Are you a TikToker? In the closet? A closeted TikToker?
Mimi ni scroller. I don't know if that exists.
New word.
User.
Yeah, ni scroller.
To the company, you are a user.
In terms of
But she identifies as a scroller.
So every time I come across a content, I like it, maybe follow this person, and maybe get to see their profile, niangalie huwa wana create nini. The next time I come back on TikTok, I will find a content that is related to that. So over time, nimekuwa tu nikipata the same content. I've not really gotten new content the way
You
put
can
it.
reset your TikTok algorithm. Unlike Facebook, X, Instagram, and all.
Deactivate the account.
No, you have to deactivate the account. But on TikTok, you can actually reset your algorithm.
Every time I search on maybe someone like Nyako, the next time I come back on TikTok nitapata Akode kwa sababu Nyako amekuwa akipigana na Akode. Ama I look for someone Kanyari. Kanyari just joined TikTok, guys. Nah.
Offer, I'll show you how to reset your
So
algorithm.
the next content I'm going to get is ukitype to Kanyari utapata Prince Mwiti live akitusi Kanyari. What the
Just
hell
more
are
of that.
Well,
And
but-
that's part of the reason I left these mediums. You end up getting stuck in your own little bubble
A chamber.
of Nyako and Akothe. Like
chamber of
you
Nyako
think
and
the
Akothe.
whole world is Nyako and Akothe.
How do you get stuck? And you realize you can get stuck. When you're aware of these biases,
You can
then
deal with
you
them.
can tell at one point, okay, I think I'm getting stuck.
You see,
And try a different
I'm
thing.
gonna find a content that I love and I like your video. Probably I'll follow that creator. It's not like now I want to see her content every day. I'm the same content that relates with her content.
But don't you think okay, mi naweza sema at least you guys understand these channels, you understand like the technicalities behind algorithms and all those things. But for a kawaida person who doesn't understand even how I get recommended a video on
They're being
YouTube,
targeted.
akishaona like forever yeye anaonanga tu Kanyari and other pastors. Si hata ni TikTok is all about pastors.
Kanyari,
Na wherever they go, whatever they share itakuwa tu hiyo.
watu hiyo.
I think this was also the argument of the US in its proposal to ban TikTok. They say it's reinforcing certain beliefs, it's skewing a certain conversation to US users.
Get in touch with unique stories of transformation, victory, downfall, and many more from your community on Pulse Spotlight. Pulse Spotlight highlights the diverse voices and experiences that make our communities so special. Follow Pulse Live Kenya on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and don't be left out.
What you've just said might be true. I'm not saying it's true, guys. Don't crucify me. So, the way Kenyan TikTokers have been labeled, umeona of late, even when they went to Brian Shira's funeral and how they behaved. And probably the type of content that most of them create. Kuna level wameekwa. There's a certain way they have been labeled. Like wanaonekana kama watu. How do I say this without sounding?
Sema tu.
Unpatriotic.
How do I sound?
They're uncouth.
Guys, nikitafuta
My high school teacher used to call
nini.
them.
So like kuna venye wanaonekana ni kama hawana morals. Say that.
They are uncouth.
They are uncouth. The way you say that. Because there's a certain agenda we feel like they're trying to push with their content, like with everything they do and the way they behave. And then so even if you're not like, you're just a celebrity who may create one video on TikTok, you'll be labeled as a TikToker. And then you do something good, you'll be, sasa we're TikToker.
The perception.
The perception that people have about TikTokers in Kenya, I would say it's not really good.
I think it's wrong for Kenyans to have that sort of perception because
But it's also because of
Why
how
is-
they behave.
but there's so many other
Creators.
there are so many other TikTokers
Moto.
that have nice, awesome content
Yeah.
that you.
Shida sasa ni when you go on TikTok, the perception is already there, and then the type of content that you see, unaona tu watu wanapigana, watu wanatusiana, mara watu wanafanya
So
nini.
I think your TikTok algorithm is just an extension.
We need to
of your
fix it.
interest.
We need to fix it.
We need to fix it.
No.
Look at this.
Especially here, Lynette. We need to fix it.
We'll have to
It's
look.
just an extension of your interests.
Yeah.
So if you watch a lot of those videos and not give, because these apps are designed for also feedback. If it recommends a piece of content that you don't like, you can say you don't like this content and tell it not to show this type of content again. That's why we should be.
Let me ask you, who is a TikToker?
As long as
anyone
you're on that platform.
who is a creator
So
on
I'm also a
TikTok.
TikToker because I'm on that.
Have you created
Do you
videos?
create?
Yeah,
Are you a
yeah.
creator?
Yeah.
You're
So
a
I'm a
TikToker.
TikToker, yeah.
But I've also created these videos on other platforms as well. Because we have people who create this content on TikTok and on other platforms. And we don't call them TikTokers.
I think
And there are people who
the
also do
problem
that
here
mistake, call
is
them TikTokers.
when you're a brand, let's talk about them as personal brands. Let's view them that way. When you're a brand, you have a brand narrative. The way we know people are food influencers, they are fashion influencers, because they've built a narrative around, they're building content around a certain topic. So for TikTokers to be labeled like, for someone to assume that all TikTokers are like the fashion influencer I saw, or all TikTokers are against each other fighting because I've just seen two. Hiyo it is upon you as a user. Venye Ditu anasema that you need to start using the app, like unasema I don't want to see content like this, give it that feedback, feed the algorithm that, so that you stop seeing just one directional narrative.
Take control of the content you consume.
Na pia tuanze ku understand these people are, it's a narrative. Oh my god.
I feel too, like, I don't know.
Sijui vile nasikia.
Also,
I think it's-
ukikuwa label
TikTok
TikToker,
activist Lynette is calling for people to
Because the type of image these guys give us, the type of image they create out there, kuna tu the way you will have to see them. Kama whether unataka kuona ama hutaki kuona. Like you don't have a choice. Because like the other day,
no, we have choices.
Yeah.
We have choices.
the look
There's
on
always-
Lynette's face
There's always an option, but I
would
think
win an Oscar.
this is a conversation that can go on till kesho. But also talking about algorithm, something I probably was not about to miss as we wind up. There's AI on TikTok, and this is something. If you, Miriam, you're not on TikTok, I think you should see this.
But I read the newsroom. I read those bulletins.
So-
I'm well informed about the platform.
So the how I think you've seen these videos where there's the sound of a man speak, and it's really nice. Have you come across? If you've come across 45.
I hate that robotic
Yeah,
sound.
it's not, but it's great compared to what other platforms
How
have
I
done.
cook for my
you don't
husband.
want
I
to-
remember
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
so robotic. So
Yeah.
kama una feel you're not really comfortable, or you're not confident enough with your voice.
Yeah, with your voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you
Okay,
you
yeah.
can script, and then it voices. Some, and so where the now the dislike comes maybe from D2 is sometimes where maybe it's trying to sell a fake narrative, because it's I find it at some point it was sort of very authoritative, because it has a punch, a certain punch where you feel, okay, this is someone speaking, and even the intonation of how it's speaking and everything. But now at some point people are misusing it.
Now we know that this is
This is a
This is
robot,
not
yeah. But all the same,
Was it doing well with Swahili words? Because AI.
kwanza majina ya watu.
Wow.
But even the pronunciation,
It's,
how it
it just
pronounces
did well
someone
in English.
Inasema Kenya.
It will say even names, Mwangi.
I don't think it can.
Ara
really
Mwangi is
say
good.
Mwangi.
Mwangi is simple. Gadano. It will
Gadanwa.
pronounce-
it would butcher those names. But now, I feel like people are. The more we use these apps, the more we get aware. The more we get insights on how to make them work for us.
And also TikTok and these platforms also get insights on how to either make them better,
Yes.
yeah, what to get rid of, what to put. Yeah.
I'm taking you back, guys, kidogo to ile conversation with Lily Cat and TikTokers. Just a minute. So, you see the TikTokers that are on the front line. How many TikTokers do you know? Kenyan TikTokers?
A lot.
A lot. Nitajie 3 TikTokers.
I know.
The room went silent.
You know that couple,
Who's supposed-
Ajib, yeah.
Ajib. Alpha House.
Alpha House.
Benawama Lines,
Bena.
our Pulse influencer
Yeah.
TikTok for 2021 or 2022.
2022, yeah.
2022.
Who was 2023? Hey, Tom Daktari.
TikTok.
Tom
Tom
Daktari.
Daktari.
Yeah.
Ah.
So me, nyinyi mmetaja hao. For most of our audience out there, for most people,
For most of Lynette's algorithm.
no,
Very brilliant correction.
No, me I would say for most people, ukitaja TikTok, there are specific people who come into mind.
Who comes in your mind?
Yeah.
Nyako.
Hey, well, it looks
Oh
like
my
this is
God.
not a.
No, but honestly speaking,
Who tell us who
kusema
comes
tu
in?
kweli, there are people who
Like
ukitaja
who?
tu TikTok watakuja kama Baba Talisha.
Definitely, he's big on
Definitely
TikTok.
he's big on TikTok.
My niece loves Alpha,
Alpha
the
House.
dancers,
Alpha
yeah.
House, yeah.
Sasa wako pamoja. Okay,
Oi.
some members left, wengine wakakuja.
What
Wish
the
them
hell?
all the best.
Oh,
Yeah. And then
Suwe.
so yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Sue is also
hungry.
a TikToker.
Yeah.
Sue is a Tiktoker.
But
That's
I
why
thought
she-
that's
that's why
where
she
she
blew up for,
originally,
yeah, that's
that's
why
the
she blew
platform
up
where
for,
she...
yeah.
Okay, yeah, like there are specific names that will come up. Like wewe ukiulizwa sai what would you say about me when I'm not around? Nini,
Only
what's
good
the,
things.
what's the first thing that will come in your mind?
About Lynette.
Yes,
Brilliant writer.
brilliant writer. Why would you say that?
I've read your stories. I've had the misfortune of reading your
Send to TikTok. Thank you, though. Thank you.
Sisi wote tutaget kupewa positive feedback. Me, I want the positive feedback.
Utachukua opportunity yenu itakuja, you will grab.
Okay.
So same to TikTok, I feel like kuna specific people wenye watu washa watch content zao over and over again and the type of content that they produce.
Yes.
So when you say TikTok, na wao ndio wanajulikana even outside Kenya. Let's not just talk about the audience in Kenya. Hata huko nje. It's like when you talk about what? Like when you talk about the acting industry, for example, and how we are known outside. Like the influence. So who are these people? Who are these TikTokers who are these Kenyan TikTokers that people know even outside the country? How do they, like, what type of content do they produce? How do they represent us?
Okay.
When you think about that, hizi names zenye mmetaja,
I think we'll just
It's
have
not
to
the
do-
Kenya we
we'll
want.
Have, we'll have
Yes.
to give Lynette a course. After
How
this,
algorithms work.
and who to follow maybe. Because clearly,
It's
We
like
need to switch it up.
if you go to parliament
yeah.
and ask maybe like a class 4 kid who are the MPs they are more likely to, I wouldn't say names, but to suggest the outrageous MPs we have, because
Yes.
those are the people who receive more coverage.
controversy sells.
Yes.
And controversy sells. We forget that they are very educated MPs. They are
Umtata.
MPs. They have the likes of Umtata, others with multiple degrees, lawyers, senior counsels. But because Kenyan behavior skews towards controversy and scandals and excitement and frenzy,
Kwanza hapo excitement. Like,
so that says a lot about our Kenyan behaviors.
naishi.
And I feel like we should not be subject to that perspective in a way that removes us from the control of it. Like, we should not just accept that those are the people who are mostly known on TikTok because they have controversial content. We should be better as Kenyans, and this is a conversation that should be had across all sectors,
In every home.
in every home, to give the rightful kind of conversations a platform to be had, so that we are not always talking about gossip, because gossip is juicy.
Yeah.
Now
You
the
know-
problem with Kenya is that those are the type of content that people love. Gossip,
Sadly.
Sadly. We will have to stop at that, because if we continue this conversation, we may end up taking the entire
I
day.
agree with where we've left our nation.
Uh,
We can't leave our nation at it is a gossip loving. They're peace loving, law abiding
We have-
citizens of this nation who consume very good content
And
from
produce.
the Pulse
produce,
TikTok.
produce and consume.
Produce, and that is the state of our nation.
And then we have
So Lynette, like we said, after this we're giving Lynette a thorough
anyway, guys.
Algorithm check.
check. Yeah.
December do not crucify.
So,
the TikTokers,
yeah.
I'm just saying. In fact, I'm speaking for 1 million plus.
Please, we need to take the mic off. You're not speaking for 1 million
I'm not
plus.
speaking for myself.
You're not
guys.
speaking for 1 million plus. We'd like to also hear from
Anyways.
you, our audience.
Anyways,
We'd love
They
to
can
hear
speak
from
for themselves.
Yeah, they'll speak for themselves through
I love TikTok.
responses.
I love Kenyan TikTokers, even TikTokers from outside Kenya. They're doing an amazing work. But kuna wengine, just
Sawa.
a few who
Yeah.
I feel like they should.
Who we will deal with through
You
the
know what I
algorithm
mean.
change. Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of changing how people post, promote people who do beneficial content.
Push them.
And if I'm looking at a situation where if positive and beneficial content went as viral as gossip and controversial content, more people would want to focus on positive content.
Yeah.
Because most people want online is engagement and reach and that fame. And if being famous means talking about positive, encouraging and informational topics, I'm sure they would edge towards that. So it's just, as
Yeah.
a nation, we love glorifying.
We need to
Comments, mingi like
we need to incline. Please stop it at that. We need to stop it at where D2 has left it. Perfect place to leave at. One of the content you can share is this content.
Yeah.
Very you'll judge it. Yeah,
Informational.
very informational, something very engaging. Give us your feedback as well. Tell us what you think, whether the TikTok ban is valid, and just give us a feedback regarding what you've had all through. See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.